Good morning, Raptor Freaks and Tempo Freaks. It's Friday, and we've had 2 days off with the Raptors, so I'm doing a Friday freakout. And my Friday freakout is centered around the enthusiasm, the excitement, the anticipation of the Toronto Tempo. I got my Tempo hat on, my Tempo hoodie. That's right, I got a Tempo hoodie. Thank you, Adriana. She gave me this just yesterday or something like that. But yeah, I'm excited. I want to know who the players are for the Tempo. But unfortunately, there's a work disagreement in the WNBA right now, a collective bargaining disagreement. And the deadline is January the 9th. And if they don't have an agreement by then, there's a good chance the WNBA players will be on strike. They have voted to go on strike if their agreement is not figured out by then. There's a lot of news around the WNBA that they don't expect it to be done by then, which, the thing about all this that's annoying is that if the WNBA's labor dispute issue was not going on, we'd probably have players already, guys. That's the annoying thing. Like, this is in some ways something that makes it harder for Teresa and Sandy and Monica as far as like, you know, if you're able to draft in the expansion draft and have some players on your team, you can start getting them oriented and bring them up and get them used to being in Canada, being around the team, maybe meet the coach and start doing things with them. But because it's getting put off, it seems like it's all going to be done right at the last minute, which in some ways it could be a detriment to the tempo and building their team in the beginning. It's like, man, I wish this expansion draft could have just happened on time in December because it was supposed to happen in December, guys. The Toronto Temple were supposed to have players by now, but this work stoppage is delaying everything. And that's the crazy thing. If they're going to start playing in a couple of months, it'd be better if we had like kind of the nucleus of our team and figure out who they were and stuff like that. So the expansion draft works like this. Every single existing team in the WNBA gets to protect 5 players. They are 5 players that are off the table that nobody can draft off of, but for the rest of the team, they're eligible and available and can be snatched away. So, teams like the Aces, the Liberty, the Lynx, the Sky, they got 5 names on each roster that they're going to say, yeah, we're keeping them. We're keeping on these ones, but these other players are eligible to be picked by either Toronto or Portland in the expansion draft. We also know that the Tempo will get a draft pick in the WNBA draft, which has also got to happen still. In some ways, that should have probably already happened in December also. Usually, I think they have the draft around Christmas, right? Maybe not. I don't know exactly. I'm still learning the WNBA's schedule for their year. But there's 2 drafts basically that have to happen for the Tempo to realize more who their players are. I mean, I want to know who a Tempo player is. I want to know who is a Toronto Tempo. Who's going to be the first Toronto Tempo player ever, like Damon Stoudemire or BJ Armstrong, depending on how you look at it. I guess BJ was kind of the first Raptor. Not really though, but it's more like Damon Stoudemire is. Yeah, but yeah, I wanna know. I wanna know. There's other things that we still have to find out with the Tempo too. It's like, what is the court gonna look like? There were a little bit of, like, teasings yesterday that they may be releasing the court design for the court. We got the jerseys last month. We've seen the Toronto Tempo jerseys, whatever your opinions are of them. They're the first basic jerseys, the template to build off of for into the future. We know that the jersey will change and have different designs over the years, but we've got the Model A, the first original edition of the Toronto Tempo jerseys last month released. I think that they're nice. I think that they're interesting. I think that the color is so novel and different that you don't see it in sports very often, like hardly at all. That Bordeaux, that wine color, along with the powder blue. This is powder blue on this hoodie. It's hard to see though. It kind of comes off as white from far away, but it is powder blue technically. And I don't know, the hat may be similar too. with the T there. But yeah, you like the logo there with the prongs, the 6 prongs symbolize the 6 boroughs of Toronto, and also 6 values and pillars of identity for the Toronto Tempo franchise. And of course, we've got it on the bigger basketball logo here too, with the prongs here. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm hyped. 2026 is the year of the Tempo, and it's time to play. It's time to get involved, Toronto, in the women's NBA, WNBA. That's right. It's time. It's time. It's a long time coming, and it was delayed a year because of Ed Rogers III, but it's still happening, and it's still going to be huge and epic. And the future of women's sports is huge. There's all kinds of great things that are going to come from it. Trust me. So I want to get going. I am anticipatory. I am just ready. I'm freaking out because I want to know who's going to be a Tempo. I want to know what the court's going to look like. I want to know what the field's going to be like. What's the mascot going to look like? Who is the mascot? We still don't know that either. So there's still some reveals and some stuff that we need to get found out in the public eye about what the Tempo are going to do. We know the house DJ. We know the Tempo have a house DJ, and we know who they are. We know who the general manager is. We know who the coach is, but we don't know the players. We don't know the court, and I just want to. I'm ready. I'm ready for Toronto Tempo action and cheering on a new Toronto team in the league of the WNBA. I'm so ready for it. I really am. I mean, I got the hat and the hoodie for it, and I'm ready to analyze the games and watch the WNBA more than I ever have in my life. I used to watch it a lot in the beginning. When it first started, I was watching it pretty regularly, watching the Liberty with Rebecca Lobo and the Houston Comets with Cynthia Cooper, who was recently at a Raptors game, which was pretty cool. We saw Cynthia Cooper, one of the greatest basketball players ever. I'm just going to say ever, not at WNBA or whatever, just one of the greatest basketball players ever, with the hardware that she collected while she was on the Comets. Yeah, it was cool to see her at the Raptors game around Christmas. Pretty cool indeed. Yeah, to me, she's like Michael Jordan to the WNBA, Cynthia Cooper. Yeah. So yeah, I'm getting that fever. Not the Indiana fever, the WNBA fever. A lot of people are trying to speculate who would we get in the expansion draft. Like, people are making lists of the existing WNBA teams' rosters and saying this is who they protect and who this is maybe who we could go and get projected and all this stuff. Maybe I should do some of that research myself, but I'm gonna leave it to some of the more expert WNBA experts right now. I'm coming in as a beginner, and I'm not going to try and act like I know everything about the WNBA. I'm coming in to learn as I go, and I will make mistakes, but also at the same time, I do have a vast knowledge of the sport of basketball, and I do understand it very well. That it'll be kind of fun to get on board with this new Toronto team and give them the Raptor Freak treatment. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a lot of fun, man. I can't wait. It's like I want the draft to happen. I want to know who our players are, Teresa Resch. I want this labor dispute to be over so that we can get into this nice. And, people can start knowing their players because, one thing, once I know who the players are, I'll go deep dive on the research on them, their careers, who they are, where they're from, all this kind of stuff to have the knowledge to be able to talk about it on this channel in the right way. So I need names. I need the players. I need the players' names, Monica and Sandy. I need the players' names. Who are they going to be? Is it going to be young Miss Reese, who's been around the 416 recently, supporting her baby brother Julian at the 905 games, which they are playing today, 5 p.m. Raptors 905, Paramount Fine Food Center versus the San Diego Clippers. That's right, a team we beat at the Winter Showcase in Orlando a couple weeks ago. We will play Ty Washington again today, guys. Ty Washington's going to come to Mississauga today and try and carry the San Diego Clippers team once again. Yeah, since I'm talking about it right now, let's go ahead and do this. The ref report for today's G League game, San Diego Clippers at Raptors 905. JD Rawls is the crew chief. JD, number 80, is in his second season out of Baltimore, Maryland. His favorite TV show is Power. He likes the movie The Forge. His favorite musician's Anthony Hamilton. His favorite book is Die with Zero. He likes to eat shrimp pasta. His favorite app is the Bible. He'd most like to visit the Maldives, and his hidden talent is sign language. Yeah, JD Rawls is in his second season as an NBA staff official. In 24-25, he officiated 37 regular season games in his first season on staff. As a non-staff official, Rawls refereed NBA regular season games in 2021-22, 3 of them, 22-23, 6 of them, and 23-24, 8. So he's a full NBA ref, but he's still doing some WNBA or some G League games here and there. So JD Rawls is our crew chief today. And I don't think he's very nice to the Raptors, but he's not bad to the 905. Matt Rafferty is the referee today, number 48. And Mary Malo of Montreal is the third ref, the umpire, number 70, Mariper Malo. Yeah, she's one of the up-and-coming Canadian refs in the G League system, following Matt Callio's steps. Mariper of Montreal ref. So yeah, that's your refs today for San Diego. And who are the San Diego Clippers? Well, this is their lineup. They have Iliri Fale Ayo Fale, Matt Aloko. He was a guy who kind of was a problem in the first game against the Clippers, the point guard out of Notre Dame, Matt Aloko. Patrick Baldwin was a problem. PB and J. They kept calling him PB and J, and everybody wanted to go make a sandwich all of a sudden. But the big man, Patrick Baldwin, was a big of a problem as far as like being active and big and rangy. Taylor Funk is a good sharpshooter from the outside out of Utah State. Watch out for him. Zach Fremantle is on this team. Jalen House, Jordan Miller, Derek Obg, Jason Preston, John Pulakidis, Kobe Sanders of Nevada, and Jamil Telford, and then the aforementioned Ty Washington of Kentucky, pretty much the guy who scores all the points for the San Diego Clippers, Ty Washington. So watch out for him today in the Raptors 905 game. And it's an interesting start time, 5 p.m. Eastern, guys, for the G League game today. 5 p.m. on YouTube. I'll be in there. If you guys want to watch the game with me, I'll be in the chat on the YouTube chat watching 905 put their undefeated streak on the line against the San Diego Clippers, a team they've already beaten this year. They beat them at the tip-off tournament. So, yeah, the Raptors 905 are awesome, man. They are now 19-0 for the season. They've played 20 games and they lost one, but it doesn't count. So really 19-1, but really officially 19-0. 5-0 in the regular season and 14-0 in the tip-off tournament part. And that will always be perfect because that record is done and locked in. A perfect record in the tip-off tournament. No team has ever done that in the history of the G League. And, the historic run by the Raptors 905 this year needs to continue to be celebrated and carried on. Andrew Jones messaged me personally saying he's going for that G League championship. He's not messing around. He wants this team to go all the way and be like Siakam and Norman and Fred from before in 2017 with Jerry Stackhouse. The Andrew Jones wants to get that hardware out of Mississauga again for the Raptors 905. I believe in him. That man is a serious coach. He ain't messing around with his life. That man, if he says he's going to try and do that, he's going to do it. I'll bet you money. I'll bet you money right here. All right, let's see what you guys are saying in the chat this morning. First of all, Trevor J is in the Commissioner Fund. Trevor J, good morning to you, sir. Always remember, you are in control of what you accept. If it doesn't validate your worth, then stop giving it access to your life. Break free of the things that don't bring peace. Yeah. I mean, I guess, in some ways, things you get different things from different things. And if you feel like the thing that you're interacting with isn't actually really beneficial to you, it's more of a drag, sometimes you got to cut the cord and make tough decisions. For sure. You got to be in control of what you accept. Yeah, that's part of the serenity prayer is like change what you do not accept. is part of it. It's a part of it. It's like realize the power you have in yourself to change the things that you do not like in your life and take that power and use it. You just have to understand what you can and cannot change, and then you have to figure out how whether you're accepting it or not into your life, whether it's fine or not. Actually, this isn't a big deal. I'll go ahead and accept this still, or nope, this does not have to continue, and it will not. Thank you for the words of wisdom, Trevor J. Blessings to the Jones family and all the Raptor Freak families in 2026. That's right. Thank you for the call yesterday, Randolph. That was very kind of you to send me a message yesterday on New Year's Day. That's right. Trevor's saying happy game day to the 905. That's right. We're going for 20 wins in this season, 20-0. If we win today, we'll be 20-0 technically. That's amazing. 20-0, guys. 20 wins, 0 losses. Not messing around. Not messing around. Trevor's also saying he can't wait for Tempo to kick off their season. Yeah, it's almost too bad that there's not a team down near you that you can see the Tempo on the road when they come through down there. There's not a team in Florida for the WNBA. I don't think Miami's got a team, and I don't think that Orlando does either. So, that's too bad that your area of the world does not have a WNBA team, because I know you be supporting them on the road when the Tempo come through. I know Trevor, that doesn't matter for Trevor. He's that Ric Flair jet flying, styling and profiling guy. He'll get on that plane and go to see them in Vegas with the Aces. He'll go up and see them in New York with the Liberty. I'm sure he might do that. Who knows? I don't know. We'll have to see when Trevor shows up at a WNBA game supporting the Toronto Tempo somewhere in the United States, because I bet you he will. I bet you he will. He'll be like Trevor saying, hey, I'm going to the game in Washington against the Mystics today. I'm going to Washington. I'm like, okay. All right, Trevor. That's right. Shaq Lindsay's in the house. Good morning to Shaq Lindsay, a supporter of the channel. I appreciate your support of this channel, Shaq Lindsay. He's saying if Kawhi is playing this good and the Clippers are winning, wouldn't the most responsible and logical thing to do now, since his value couldn't be much higher, is to trade him now rather than ride it and risk losing him due to injury around the playoffs, because that seems to be his schedule. This is awesome. This is an interesting question Shaq Lindsay's brought me. Yeah, I heard recently that Kawhi was the player of the week. And I did a double take to that. I'm like, wait, what? What? Wait. Kawhi is the player of the week? What? How did this happen? How did he stay healthy enough to do this? Is what I was thinking. And then I was also thinking, I thought the Clippers were trash this year. Like everybody's just beating their butt. Like Norman's gotten revenge on them twice already on the Miami Heat. And I was hearing that they have a losing record and they're down at the bottom of the Western Conference. Why the hell all of a sudden is there applause or people talking up Kawhi or the Clippers right now? I thought they're dead in the water this year. Well, Shaq Lindsay's got some interesting points here that maybe they should think about out there in the front office of LA. I mean, I don't know. This is a weird situation. Think about it, Shaq Lindsay. They've been waiting for this. They've been putting so much time into getting healthy Kawhi and doing something with him that it's almost like if they did do what you were saying, it would be like, well, what was the whole point of the last 5-6 years of waiting around for him to get healthy and have him just like, all right, he's finally good this year. All right, let's trade him. I don't know. It's a weird situation. Would people be that interested in trading for him? That's another question you have to have. Like, seriously, Kawhi's been finicky about where he plays, obviously, because he was too snobby to play in Toronto for more than 1 year. And he burned his bridges in San Antonio. He's kind of like, we all see who he is as far as what he's gone through with his health the last few years. The other teams that would be interested in him, who would they be? And why would they be like that? See, I gotta wonder these kind of things. I think your logic is sound, what you're trying to propose here, but is it realistic considering Steve Ballmer and his aspirations to win with Kawhi on his team? He's a glutton for punishment. He's more likely to not even consider what you're saying, and that he'd rather ride with Kawhi as he has since he stole him away from our team and brought him over with collusion and Lawrence Frank and Doc Rivers showing up at our house and begging him to come play for them in the middle of our season going towards the championship. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard for me to see this, but if it does happen, I'll remember that Shaq Lindsay proposed this on the Raptor Freak stream on January the 2nd, 2026. I will remember that you put this up there. Oh, damn, he did get moved. Shaq Lindsay was right. That would be so weird, man. It would be weird. Like, where would he go? Like, wouldn't that be crazy if, like, the Clippers traded him to Charlotte for like a bunch of young talent, like Con Knipple, and all of a sudden Kawhi was a Hornet. That shit would be hilarious in some ways. That would be so funny, man. Anyway, all right, let's see. Shaq Lindsay saying, knowing Steve, the Clippers, they will probably ride it out. Yeah, they'll probably ride it out. Even if they don't have any draft picks for the foreseeable future, no young prospects, and the roster is old as F. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably right. That's probably right, that part. Because it's like they've already put all this into this. They've had all the time of him in street clothes sitting around. Now they finally have him healthy. They're going to want to use him, man. They're going to want to use him for sure. All right, cool. Lots of good names and comments in the chat. Let's keep going. Trevor's laughing about it. Trevor's saying that the Miami Heat beat the Detroit Pistons last night. Now that's a big deal because, well, we've beaten Miami ourselves twice already this year. And the Pistons are the best team in the East. And, well, Norman had a huge game, and he took down Detroit. And, well, that's kind of good. You know, I'm kind of hoping that the Pistons kind of run out of steam a little bit. Like, they've been going so crazy so far this year with their record, and we haven't seen them yet. And we'll see them this month. We're going to see the Pistons at some point this month, finally, for the first time. Maybe they'll be a little bit more dulled out as a team in their powers and what they've been doing this season, and they're a little more gettable. Maybe them losing to the Miami Heat last night is a symbol of this. Maybe, I don't know. They've been such a juggernaut, such a top dog in the Eastern Conference this year that in some ways I've been very curious to see the Raptors, hopefully full strength with Jakob Poeltl in the lineup, play the Detroit Pistons and see how we would do with them. We played most of the teams in the East now at this point, but they are the one team we have not. They are the one team we have not seen yet. That's right. That is right. Let's see. Stargate saying, is Angel Reese safe? I don't know. That's a good question. So basically, we go look at Chicago Sky's roster and say, are there 5 players that you think that they would rather keep and protect over Angel? I mean, we could do this, I guess. Let me go look at this real quick. I mean, once again, my knowledge of the WNBA is not as good as the NBA, but I can try and wing it. We'll see. All right, we'll go look at the roster for that team. Looks like Elizabeth Williams is their number 1 player, is what they've got listed. They've got them listed. Oh, that's their number. That's her number. Duh. Her number is number 1. Elizabeth Williams, Haley Van Lythe, Angel Reese, Ariel Atkins, Rebecca Allen, Svegi Uzun, Camila Cardoza, Kia Nurse, Michaela Onumware, Maddie Westbeld, Courtney Vandersloot, Rachel Banham. Now, if you're asking me, I'll tell you the 5 that I think that they would want to keep. Rachel Banham's one of them for sure. I'll bet you they'll want to keep Elizabeth, maybe Ariel Atkins for sure. I think Angel might be one of the top 5 on this team. So it's very likely she might be protected. Now it's that she may not be protected because of her interactions with her teammates last year and kind of not being totally a team player in some of the things she was saying. So could it be? I don't know. There's some good quality players here, though. Kia Nurse may not be protected. Maybe we'd have to look at that, guys. Is Kia Nurse, instead of saying Angel, is Angel Reese protected by the Chicago Sky, one of the top 5 players? Or will it be somebody like Kia Nurse? Kia Nurse could be unprotected here. So, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 players right here, and only 5 of them protected. 7 of them will be available. You know, that Maddie Westbeld is actually a really interesting player. She was a rookie last year, and she played pretty good for them on the down low. I had her on my fantasy team for a little while, and she wasn't bad. Camila Cardoza is their center. She's the one who kind of had the problems with Angel. like this they centered around. And it could be very well that like, they'd rather go in the direction with the players and with Cardoza than with Angel Reese. So I don't know, man. Maybe Angel isn't protected because they're like, yeah, but maybe also, the thing about it is Angel Reese is a commodity and she's worth a lot, and they wouldn't want to just lose her in the expansion draft for nothing, right? So they're probably going to protect the five most valuable players on their roster. And in that case, I'd say Angel's getting protected then. Some at WNBA experts, I think, have said that the only way Angel Reese ends up on the Toronto Tempo is in a trade. So that's what I think the answer is right there, Stargate. Kia Nurse may be very well unprotected, though, and able to be snatched up by Teresa and them. And I bet you she wouldn't be upset about this. I bet you Kia Nurse would not be upset to be playing on the inaugural Toronto Tempo team and be able to work all year round in Toronto, do the TSN stuff, and just keep working in the summer on the team here. And it's special because she's Canadian and she could be the first ever Canadian woman to play for the Toronto Tempo. That's historic. So we'll have to see. That I think that it'd be more interesting to find out what Nurse's status is with the Chicago Sky than Reese. Because I don't know. It may not be very likely we get Angel Reese. Although I will say that Angel Reese probably wouldn't tell no if they were saying, hey, you gonna come play for Toronto. She probably would not be upset about that. She'd probably be like, Toronto's cool. I went up there and hung out with Julian, and Toronto's cool. Yeah, I'd play for the Tempo. I bet you she would say she played for the Tempo. I bet you she would. I bet you that Colin's girlfriend would too, Chloe. Chloe would probably say, yeah, I play for the Tempo. Colin's been up there just half a year already, and he's enjoying it. He loves Canada and Toronto. I'd go up there and play for the Tempo, especially if my boyfriend's playing for the Raptors. Shaq Lindsay saying this: Steve Ballmer, if you're listening, money can't buy everything. It can only satisfy your sorry ass. What about your fans? Do the right thing and trade that gold digger and fix your franchise. Shaq Lindsay's got some venom for Steve Ballmer and the Clippers there. I can't say I don't like it. It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's not about the health of his team. In some ways, it is very much his ego. That's for sure. Building a new arena and doing all this other crap that he does. No, that's the one thing, man. You can get distracted with the goals of what your franchise are. And at some point, I don't know the Clippers' goals are to get a championship. They're fooling themselves with their roster construction and what they keep doing. They think they're going to go get a championship by building a super team of aged stars that are totally undependable as far as whether they're going to show up and play for you or not. So yeah, I don't understand what they're doing. I mean, I've never, everybody just thought, oh, the Clippers are going to be contending for his championships because they stole him from Toronto. Yeah, is that how it's worked out? No, that's not how it worked out. You can look at it on paper and wish for it and want it, LA Clippers fans, but the reality of all that, how it worked out, yeah, you see what you get. That's right. You get, in some ways, your year this year has been one of the worst years so far out of all the years Kawhi's been on your team. And he's playing. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. Seymour's here. Go team, go tempo. That's right, Seymour. That's right. You have to get the tempo gear, my guy. Get up to speed. I've got a sweatshirt, a hoodie, a hat, and a candle. So I have 4 officially licensed Toronto Tempo gear items at this point. And I can thank Adriana for that and Christmas. She's been awesome. She hears me and I'm saying, man, I got to get some Tempo gear. Adriana's getting on the computer. She loves to shop, online shop. So it's like any excuse to get on there and look for stuff. She's all about it. That's right. That's right. Mr. Quasimodo's in the house. Good morning to you, sir. I'm still sad about that buzzer beater shot. I mean, let's be like Brandon. Brandon shrugged it off immediately afterwards. If it was the man who did it and he got robbed of it and he's already like, yeah, I don't care. It's not that Brandon doesn't care. He's not a competitor. It's just that he's in the moment. He's present and he understands that, like, angst and getting upset about it isn't going to help anything. So he's just going to be like, roll with the punches, move forward. All right. You took that away from me. Well, next game, I'm going to beat that other team's ass even more because you guys robbed me at the end of the game like that. Yeah. I got a Denver fan come in here trying to, he wrote an essay in my comment section. Like he's trying to teach me something about the NBA and the East and the West Conference and saying we should be embarrassed and all this stuff. And I'm like, bro, don't project your bullshit on us, bro. Seriously, your team is in a whole other kind of world than we are, and we're in a different stage. You guys are post championship fallout, holding on to Jokic, and honestly, you guys have struggled since your championship. And like honestly, we may be closer to getting another championship than y'all because you're not going to add up to another championship with the way the salary cap is and building around Jokic. You got to start over, rebuild, and come back. And we're a young team and we have to make mistakes and stuff like this. But man, Denver fan coming in here saying we should be embarrassed because we lost to a team with missing four of their starters and stuff. No, man, if that guy actually had listened to my stream yesterday, he would have heard me complimenting the Nuggets system for being good at doing what they do and beating us shorthanded. I said a lot of nice things about David Edelman and the Denver Nuggets yesterday, but this guy saw my title and he just decided to write me an essay from the Denver Nuggets perspective. And I'm like, it's unnecessary, bro. It's unnecessary. Like everything you were saying in there is like, who gives a shit, man? That's your projections of your what you see, and whatever you're saying about the East and the Western Conference, maybe it's true. I wouldn't argue with you, but also at the same time, the NBA set up with an Eastern and Western Conference, and well, we play in the Eastern Conference, and well, yeah, maybe we do get an easier schedule than you, Denver Nuggets. I won't disagree with that. I won't disagree with that. And it's not like I said that, my stance on what happened with that shot with Brandon is that the NBA is a Grinch. That in the olden days, they'd go into the fun and say, yeah, you made that shot. Woohoo. Everybody celebrate. We're going to overtime. You deserve it because this was a phenomenal shot. But no, that was my whole point. I'm not saying that the shot wasn't late because it probably was. But it's like the old NBA wouldn't have all this bullshit. They'd eyeball it and say that was good, and they'd go to overtime, and they give the fans what they want. That's all my whole point was yesterday. I never at any one point said that the Raptors deserved to win yesterday because they didn't. They didn't. They played bad, and they didn't deserve to win. And Denver deserved to win more, but we had our chances to try and win, and we just didn't. And we just didn't execute enough. And we didn't do enough over the whole course of the game to win that game. And that's that. And that's that. You want to tell us we should be embarrassed? No, we're going to hold our head up because we're a young core. We're learning and we are just going through it. And that's it. And, your perspective from your side of things, Nuggets Nation, is a whole other different perspective. And, you should feel good. You didn't have a 3-game losing streak and your team is showing mettle without your leader. And that's pretty impressive. I mean, I'm not coming down on y'all. I said something nice about Jonas, too. I was like, man, Valanciunas did a good job filling in for Jokic. But Nuggets fan wants to come in and be all toxic and yelling at me and saying I don't think that guy even watched my stream. Because if he watched my stream, he would have probably been like, oh, this guy's being very fair about this. I think he just saw the title and he came in and he just wrote a whole diatribe. You know what I did, though? He wrote like a 5-page thing to me in my comments section yesterday on my stream. I read it and then I erased it immediately. I was like, yeah, put in all that work, motherfucker. I don't care. I don't need to put your dumbass diatribe towards the Raptors fans from a Nuggets fan on that game. I'll erase it. So you feel good? You wrote all that out, took all the time, and I just erased it, and now it's gone. There you go. So stupid. Okay, so Randolph's here. Good morning to Randolph. Beloved Raptor Freaks family, but blessings. It's a new year, which means that there is a continuation that requires new thoughts, visions, and ideas, and new beginnings, which means a level playing field. Interesting. I wish it was that way. I feel like this world should be a level playing field. Equality is a good thing to have, but there's people that really don't want any kind of equality, that are scared old men that want to just have everything, and they're selfish. Equality, true equality in my eyes at this point, is equality for all life forms. It's not even just equality between humans. I want equality for all the animals and the trees with the people, because we're all life forms. And maybe we'll get to some advanced civilization where we actually understand this and we have an equality, not just amongst humans, but an equality for life forms in general. Is that a weird, novel idea? Because in some ways you can't do that, Lex. If we're going to have pork slaughter farms of pigs to make food for everybody, or cows or chickens, because that just goes against it. And you're so PETA for saying that. But wait a second. If animals can think and they have feelings and they have family relations and they actually have a lot more in common with us in those kind of ways, why wouldn't they have some equality also? Why wouldn't they? I don't know. I'd like to speak this world into existence. I like to make this be a new chapter coming forward in the new era of the world. That instead of pivoting towards selfishness and more inequality and more greed, we start putting it spread out where it's like everybody's looking out for everybody. And it's not even just among humans. We start looking out for all the life forms outside. Because seriously, once again, I'll get on this tip about the creator, and the creator created everything. If you're with the creator, if you're with God, you're protecting what God created. And if you're destroying what God created, well, are you with God then? That's what I would say. Blessings to the Phillips family, all the Rapid Freak families. Thank you, Randolph, for the call. It was really nice. I wish I'd gotten you on the I had gotten to the phone at that time. I was busy at that time, but I appreciated your message. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Fiercely saying this, good morning, fam, and happy Friday. Can't wait to have more details on the upcoming Toronto Tempo magnificence, if that's even a word. Yeah, that's a word. Sure. Magnificence. Yeah, I think it will be magnificent for sure. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. It could be a tough road to start, but we're ready to start the path, take the first step and see the outcomes and see how we perform and see what we are as a Toronto Tempo franchise. It's exciting, and it's great to be at the ground floor starting up. And like I said, I can't wait to know who the first Tempo player is. I can't wait. I'm so ready for this. I'm freaking out because it's 2026, and this is the year the Tempo start. And that's what I'm talking about today. And enthusiasm about our WNBA team is going to be fun, man. It'll be another team to root for, to get behind, and wish championships for. That's right. That's what we're all about. HC is in the house. The undefeated is checking in. Rise and shine. Happy New Year. Started with a broken down fridge and closet closest repair Monday. Wow, your fridge is broke down. You can't get it fixed till Monday. Let's go 2026. Happy it's winter. Garage came in clutch. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I guess that kind of works then. Your fridge don't work. Well, at least it's Canada and it's winter. And in some ways, you can start taking the goods outside and throw them in the yard. Put the frozen peas and the meats and whatever's in the fridge. Just take it outside. You're good, HC. Undefeated still. Undefeated still. Undefeated in fantasy and undefeated in life. It's like, that's what happens. You get a curveball thrown at you, something not the most ideal. Well, you innovate. Yeah, your fridge is out. It's wintertime. Throw that shit in the yard. That's right. Put that shit right out in the middle of the snow and let that shit be out there, and it'll be fine. It won't go bad. You got to watch out for wild animals coming through and wanting to eat your groceries. But, otherwise, that's what I would do right there, man, for sure. Especially in my yard, man. It's like my yard right now looks like it's covered in marshmallow topping that you would get at an ice cream shop. You get in a sundae, give me that marshmallow topping. Put it all on top, foamy and white, and just kind of sitting there. Yeah, that's what it looks like out there right now. Looks like one big, huge, crazy spray foam party out in my yard right now with all the snow, fresh snow. Yeah, I got a big fridge here, HC, a big fridge. I could put a lot of food out there. That's right. Let's check in on the fantasy since HC came in real quick. I am losing to MK so far this week. He is a master of fantasy basketball, and he is beating my butt right now. Omari is beating Bryce. Ahmet is beating Cool Cat. It's a very close matchup between Nins and MJ. MJ, you got a good chance there. Don't give up. You can beat Nins. We also have Jason Dukes in a battle with James. Kareem is beating Andrew, which is awesome. Kaz is beating Mike. And then we got Gerald losing to HC. And HC, without Jokic, he's sustaining things, just like the Nuggets. He's fine. Jokic is out. Well, don't worry about it, my guy. You're doing fine. You're doing fine. Yeah, Nameless is saying this. Lex for prime minister. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, now. Whoa, yeah. In some ways, I want to be like the little, you know what I like to be? That like place around the corner, down the alley, that's hidden entryway that not many people know about, that little secret spot. In some ways, I don't want to be that mainstream. I don't want to be that forefront because in some ways, I don't want the scrutiny. I don't want all the bullshit that comes with that. So I'll keep my little corner of notoriety on the Raptor Freak channel. But man, if I tried to start running for office, that's a whole other level of scrutiny and like looking at people. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not a perfect person. I'm sure if I ran for office or something like that, they'd find stuff about me and they'd be like, yeah, you can't vote for this guy. And they'd probably be right. But I don't know. Maybe I would be all right under that scrutiny. I don't know. Either way, I don't want that office. I think that Masai Ujiri should be prime minister. Yeah, he'd be good. There's some other people that probably be able to do it pretty good. We just need somebody who's real and authentic and actually gives a shit about the right things and not just about corporate bottom lines. That's the big problem right there. That's right. Name was saying that is the dope hat, brother. I think it should be a new regular. Well, I'll be definitely wearing it this year when I'm doing tempo days. I've got different hats I wear. I have a Raptors hat, I got a 905 hat, and now I got a tempo hat. And maybe I need to go get a CBL hat too. Maybe go down and get a Scarborough Shooting Stars hat this summer also, so I can wear all the hats that I wear and what I cover. Maybe I need a Team Canada hat too. So when I'm covering Team Canada, Olympic, basketball, I can be wearing the Team Canada stuff for RJ and SGA. That's right. That's right, man. Yeah. Fiercely saying this last season, the Valkyries had a phenomenal attendance and a great playoff run, hoping the tempo will replicate, if not surpass, the same accomplishments. We're in good hands with Sandy Brondello. The Valkyries are so lucky. Honestly, we should have came in with them, because then they would have had two people choosing at the same time. But it got all screwed up. The timing got all screwed up. The Valkyries got a boost in some ways because of that. I don't expect us to have the luck that the Valkyries had. In some ways, the Valkyries are like the Golden State Warriors, and they're going to be a golden team in the WNBA, and they have an interest in making them successful. I know they have an interest in making us successful too, because we're the first international team, and we're going to make this league even more important and special when they add Canada to the element. But also at the same time, we're coming in with Portland and there's a bargaining agreement and everything's getting all delayed and it's not as smooth as the Golden State Valkyries entry into the league. Don't expect the Toronto Tempo to get in the playoffs in the first year, just like the Valkyries. It'd be great. And if they do, I'll be very, very overjoyed. But I'm just saying the settings and the way things are not conducive for this to happen like it did for them, unfortunately. So, yeah, I don't know. Comparing what the Valkyries did to what we might do this year may not be fair to Toronto Tempo. Let's just put it that way. Because in some ways, the WNBA rolled out the red carpet and let the Valkyries just stroll right in and just become something better than they probably should have been in their first year already. So we'll just have to see how it goes. But in some ways, look, I think we can beat them as far as with attendance. I think we can do that. I think that we can do some of the stuff to make it look real good as far as with our fans and what we can control with that, but not necessarily with the way the team plays on the court. We'll just have to see. It'll get answered by the innovation of Monica Wright-Rogers and her GMing and whether Sandy Brondello is an attractive coach to attract some better players to Toronto to play for the Tempo just because they're interested in working with Coach Sandy, because she is like that. And there has already been speculation on this channel and other places that some of the big names in the WNBA may be jumping ship to come to the Tempo solely because of Coach Sandy Brondello. Specifically, some Liberty players that played under her just last year that really like her a lot. We could probably get some people because the thing is, there's the expansion draft, there's the regular draft, and then there's free agency. And in some ways, the hindrances that the Toronto Raptors feel with free agency, that's not necessarily going to be the case for the Tempo. No, it might not be because there's a couple of things that are in their favor besides Coach Brondello herself. She's absolutely a very attractive person to have good players come to Toronto to play for the Tempo. The other thing I'm saying is, as I said in the last week, is the Toronto Tempo will not be playing in the winter. They play in the summer. And Toronto in the summer is amazing. So any kind of detraction about, I don't want to play in Canada because it's cold, that ain't happening with the Toronto Tempo. In fact, it's going to be like very appealing to be here during the WNBA season. Then, you got also the whole history of the Raptors to show the tempo that this could be really cool. That, in hindsight, people can look back and see, that Raptors beginning was cool. And the people who are involved in it was cool because they could be the pioneers. They could be the first ones. And there's some status to that. So WNBA players could be heady and aware of this and be like, you know what? Actually, I really do want to be around the tempo. It's attractive because then I can be one of the pioneers. I can be one of the first that ever played and put that jersey on. So I don't know. It's tough to gauge. Are there a lot of WNBA players that are knuckleheads and xenophobes that say I would never play in Canada? I don't know. Probably not. Not like some of the NBA players are like that. I bet you a lot of the WNBA players are open-minded to it and be a lot more cooler with the idea of it because it's such a cool new thing. So I feel like we've got a lot of good, attractive qualities about becoming a Toronto Tempo player that will attract players, and that some of the problems that the Raptors have will not be the same for the Tempo. And that's good. I mean, I really do feel like Sandy is huge in this. Sandy is a very popular coach in this league. She's a proven winner. She's a two-time champion with two other franchises, and she wants to get that third championship with the Toronto Tempo. And she will, trust me. Watch, she will. It's going to be interesting. Randolph saying this, Lex and fellow freaks, I'm excited for the great content that will inform and prepare us for the rest of the season. The opinions, thoughts, comments, news, and feedback brings me here daily. I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, if anything, the nature of this channel being a two-way street where people can come in and put their comments in and be heard is an important aspect of the foundation of this channel. In some ways, the interaction of me reacting to what you guys say, that's part of it. And I'm glad that you value this and that you are a regular viewer and you're here almost every day. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Shaq saying this, Kawhi reminds me of that employee who gets hired because of his connections, has a cushy job, shows up to work whenever he feels like it, and gets promoted. Meanwhile, everyone else is putting in work. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see that. I've worked with a person like this in the past. When I worked at the vacuum company, I used to be in charge of a vacuum repair shop. I was like the boss, and there were three guys that worked in the vacuum repair shop. There was this guy named John who was British, and he was the guy who'd been there the longest, and he knew where all the stuff was in the workshop, like all the parts. And that was his whole way he made himself have job security, is that he knew the whole layout of the vacuum repair shop and where everything was. And without him, they wouldn't know where anything was. So it basically made himself unfireable. Yeah, it was really ingenious, honestly. It's like, yeah, go ahead and fire me. Yeah, good luck trying to run this after I'm gone because you won't know where anything is. Pretty smart. And then there was a second guy that worked for us named Charlie. And Charlie was a younger guy who just started out, and he had like little kids that were babies. He had a young family, and he was working really hard. John would fix like one machine a day, and Charlie would fix like 3 or 4 a day. He was really, really a diligent guy and working hard. And then we had this third guy who was working in the shop. I think his name was Victor. And Victor was the nephew of one of the owners. And well, Victor, he wasn't very good at his job. He was kind of what Shaq Lindsay's describing here. He showed up when he wanted to, and he put in as much effort as he wanted to. And well, he didn't really do a whole lot. We were lucky if he finished a machine a day, right? So what happened was the owners, Victor's uncle, and a couple other people, the other owners, came in and said, Alexi, you're going to have to fire one of the vacuum repairmen. You have to fire one of them. And I was like, okay, well, Victor, let's fire Victor. Now, obviously, the uncle said, no, you're not firing my nephew. You have to pick one of the other two. Well, I knew that if I fired John, that the shop was done. So it was basically the choice of saying, you got to fire Charlie, even though Charlie does 3-4 times more work than the other two guys. And he has a young family that he's trying to support with very young children. I just moralistically couldn't do it. I said, "You want to fire Charlie? You fucking do it." And I left. Seriously, I left that job after that. And in some ways, it was just on principle. It was just on morality. It was just on, I'm not doing this because, and a lot of people would do that just to save their own job. Oh yeah, I'll fire him. That's where we start losing our soul as humanity, when we don't stand up to shit like this. And well, I don't regret that decision at all. That company was full of shit and had a lot of toxic things about it, literally, because they were making cleaning supply solutions and they were dumping them in the sewer and breaking all kinds of health codes and environmental codes. Yeah, I got out of there. I wouldn't fire Charlie. And they basically let me go after that because they were like, yeah, well, if you won't do this, you're let go. Yeah, well, I was like, that's fine. In some ways, our morals and values do not line up, and I'm ready to walk anyway. So yeah, interesting story there. I guess that's what keyed it off for me is Shaq Lindsay talking about Kawhi being like that. Don't be a victor in the vacuum repair shop is what I'm saying. Trevor's saying Ty Washington signed a 2-way contract with LAC. Yeah, he probably was on that the whole year. He's their 2-way. He's a 2-way, but he did play against us in Orlando and he had most of their points and he'd probably be playing today. Who knows if he's with them or he's with the Clippers? We'll have to see if he's with the San Diego Clippers or the LA Clippers. I don't know. Ty is very needed for them. They're going to try and beat the 905 today. That's for sure. That's for sure. Reggie's saying this. Every bad team has a good streak of games. The Clippers are having theirs now. They still stink. Okay, good. This is good information from somebody who's paying attention better than me. I'm not paying attention to the West that heavy. And he's saying that they're just on a good run right now. Maybe it's an easier part of the schedule. Maybe they're just caught a little bit of a spark of goodness going on and they're riding it right now for now. Sounds like it's right. Sounds about right. Thank you, Smooth. Fiercely saying Clippers are a joke. Even if, excuse me, jumped ahead. Oh, wow. Okay. Clippers are a joke. Even if they're suddenly hot and have a possibility of making the playoffs, it won't last. And what team would want to take on toxicity, aka Uncle Dennis? I mean, that's not the issue. They want Kawhi. They're not worried about Uncle Dennis. Uncle Dennis is going to do what he's going to do. No, it's not even that. I'm not even, this is a dumb topic to talk about. Where is Kawhi going to go and stuff like that? In some ways, I don't care. I'm not going to speculate this. And I'm not going to speculate whether anybody would want him. In some ways, he was just bringing up a scenario and he didn't really bring up a specific one. He just said, this is the right time to trade him. And I think that there is some real smart thinking in that. But will they do that? Probably not. It's not realistic. So that's the way I look at it there. Bryce is saying this. The Tempo have got to go get Audie Crooks. Audie Crooks? She's a certain player. Maybe I should do a scout of the day real quick. I don't know who that is. Let me go look. Like I said, I don't look at the NBA college players. I surely don't look at the WNBA college players. Audie Crooks. All right, let's do a scout of the day. Audie Crooks is an American college basketball player for the Iowa State Cyclones. And she's a center, and she is a load. She's a load, 6'3". And she's a third-team All-American, two-time first-team All-Big 12, and Miss Basketball of Iowa. And she played for USA at America for the women and got the gold. Interesting. She's very big. She's very big. She's probably outweighs me, but she's about the same height as me. Interesting. She's 21. All right. Should I go watch her? Let's go watch her. Let's get on the YouTube, and see if I can get some Audie Crooks highlights real quick. All right. We're doing a scout of the day. This is like Lex is a music reaction pod. I have never seen Audie Crooks before, and I'm going to watch her on a scout of the day for today real quick. All right, let me see. All right, we'll watch her at America. Why not? That's good. All right, hang on. That's very loud. All right, here we go. She is big, man. She's big. She's got a little nice turnaround there. She doesn't have the best square shot. It's kind of a funky hook. It's very interesting. But yeah, it's nice that she has a touch. Like for a woman her size, it's nice that she has a touch like that. That's important. She got down the court kind of slow, but she ran a fast break and made a layup. Yeah, she's interesting as far as she is a very specialized player. There's a nice shot just from outside the free throw line. They throw the lob in, she misses it, she gets it back, she throws it back in. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, she's not obviously not the most athletic up and down the court player, but she does have a size to her that is undeniable and very, in some ways, like she's kind of like a Charles Barkley, Oliver Miller type, where she's going to throw around a lot of weight, and try and do stuff with her size. But she's kind of light on her feet, I guess. That's the whole thing. Is like it's hard for me to get used to the WNBA speed and looking at college for NBA speed, right? So to me, she looks really slow. But it could be that with the WNBA, that speed is acceptable and it can be played like that. So I don't know. That's interesting. I like that defensive play she just did where she kept her hands up and she got a strip and a steal. So she's got a little bit of a defensive minded presence. But man, when she gets down the court, it's not necessarily called a fast break. Let's just put it that way. She's got nice touch. I'll say that. She's got a nice touch, and it's interesting that she's playing with very high level women on this team. It looks like that there's some very good WNBA players playing with her on this team, on this USA team at America. So obviously she's one of the top players for US if she's playing on their team USA. So she's no joke. That's for sure. All right, I don't know, man. In some ways, I guess this would be a real cornerstone to build off of. If this is a player that the Tempo acquired to be their center, she would be definitely a foundation to build off of. I mean, I don't know. I like the soft touch and I like some of the offensive instincts, but in some ways, my basketball mind is saying she's too slow, but maybe she isn't. And I just don't know what I'm talking about right now. So interesting, very interesting player. Uh, she is reminding me of the great Oliver Miller quite a bit right there. Great Oliver Miller, Raptors legend, rest in peace, Oliver Miller, who we lost in the last year. Yeah, interesting. Fiercely saying this: Banham, Atkins, Allen, Vandersloot, and definitely Cardoza are keepers. Elizabeth Williams was a good backup when Angel was out injured. Kia Nurse is mostly valued for her 3-point shooting. My issue with Nurse is that she moves a lot. She was with the Sparks, then the Storm, then the Sky. Not sure why she stays 1 year and dips. Well, it's just because she's that player in that level in the WNBA. She's a journeyman, a journey woman. There's just different players that are like that, like Danny Green, like Jeff Green. Those guys. They played for so many different teams throughout their career, and they kind of just shuffle up and go from team to team. Well, Kia's that level in the WNBA, and in some ways, that's not necessarily a knock on her. It's more that in some ways, you could turn around and say she's a useful player because a lot of different people have been able to find her and use her in different situations. So I wouldn't hold that against Kia Nurse that she's played for 3 different teams in 3 seasons and maybe playing for a 4th team in this season. I wouldn't hold that against her. And that Canadian connection, once again, it'll be all the sweeter. Sure, go to LA, go to Seattle, go to Chicago, show up in Toronto. I that's what I see like that. So you think that they would protect Banham, Atkins, Allen, Vandersloot, and Cardoza, and they'd leave Reese and Kia Nurse unprotected in Chicago? You know who we need to ask is Coco Wade. That's the man to ask about Chicago Sky and what do you think, James Wade? Who do you think that they're going to protect? Maybe Teresa could call him and say, "Hey, James, hey, how are you doing? Teresa Resch, Toronto Tempo. I'd like to get some insight on you about how the Tempo may be able to get maybe one of the Sky players and who might be available." Maybe that's right. Fiercely saying this: I retract, not my issue, but my questioning. You think it's a red flag? I think that it's just like Danny Green. It's just kind of like you're a useful player, a 3-point shooter, and we'd like to have you on our roster because you will flesh out and help us with shooting more. That kind of thing. She's like a mercenary. Let's just put it that way. She's a mercenary, is what it looks like. Yeah, Trevor's saying Kia will be available. She's on a 1-year contract with the Sky, so she's a free agent this season. So there you go. I wonder, does she want that pressure? When I asked Steve Nash 25 years ago, would you come play for the Toronto Raptors? He said no to me. He said no. I asked him personally, in person, like to his face. I said, Steve, come play for the Raptors, bro. He's Lexi, sorry. No, I don't want to play for the Raptors. I'm like, why, man? He's like, I'm a West Coast guy. I don't really want to be on the East Coast. And don't you understand the responsibility would be a man like me, Canadian, playing for the Raptors, how much that would be put on my shoulders? He didn't want that. He seriously didn't want that. That's why he stayed over there around Phoenix and Dallas and the Lakers and the western side of the NBA. So I don't know. Does Kia Nurse want that though? Maybe she does though, because in some ways it'll be less pressure than being like the MVP level kind of Chris Steve Nash kind of guy. And in some ways, if she's just a role player or a bit player, in some ways like Chris Boucher kind of or something like that, being on the tempo would just be kind of like get the notoriety, get the history factoid. This is the first Canadian player to ever play on the Toronto Tempo, Kia Nurse. Especially if she's free and open and able to go where she wants to go as a free agent. Well, I say you call Monica, and Monica says, "Hey, Kia, we were expecting a call from you, and let's work something out." Yeah, I like that. I like that, Teresa. I like that a lot. That's right. Fiercey saying Kelsey Plum wanted out of Vegas to be a franchise player elsewhere. She did good with the Sparks. Maybe a change of scenery would be good for Angel Reese. I think that's probably true. And that's why we can speculate about this, is because it doesn't seem like Chicago's a good fit for Angel Reese. And in some ways, maybe she's kind of burned her welcome there or something like that. I don't know. Well, I don't know. It may not be anything like that. Maybe she's very much part of the plan and everything's fine and smoothed over and they're going forward with her. I don't know, but it does seem like there could be issues there with her and her teammates, and that a change of scenery is very much in order for young Angel Reese. Maybe. I'm telling you, it doesn't hurt that she's been around our city and hanging around with her brother, possibly with the idea of a new expansion team and what could happen. You know what I'm saying? Just like you said, Kelsey Plum wanted to go to the Sparks to make a name for herself beside the Las Vegas Aces and make herself a more prominent like player and out of the shadow of Aja Wilson. Well, maybe Angel Reese would want to be a trendsetter and say, I'm gonna make my mark in Canada like Vince Carter did as a WNBA player. That's attractive. I'm telling you. The people can see Vinsanity. They can see the history of the Raptors, and they could be like, I want to do this for the WNBA team. And I can see where it could go and what it could be and how fortuitous and awesome it could be. So it very well could be the Toronto Temple have people clamoring to come and play for them. Seriously. Seriously. They could be like that. Yeah. Fiercely saying my only worry is all the exposure and endorsements she got. Shoe deal, Victoria's Secret gig, McDonald's burger, etc. Will the media machine push her if she plays for Toronto? Talking about Angel? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they would be smart to. The right people would do it. The people that don't want to do it won't. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Raptors get a lot of good endorsement deals these days. How is the WNBA endorsements going to go up here in Canada? I don't know. Are we seeing Team Canada people get put on blast like Bridget Carlton and Toby Fournier and Kia Nurse? Are they getting put in commercials already? Not really, not yet. But will this happen with Toronto Tempo? Probably. And I would say, I don't know. Maybe people don't think Angel Reese is a marketable person because there's a racial thing. It's a really messed up thing, honestly. They made it a Bird versus Magic thing with her and Caitlin Clark, and there's some really crazy racist people that are like white people, Caitlin, and they're like anti-Angel for just really weird reasons. Like they made it. Some of them are mad because Angel Reese beat Caitlin Clark in college. And they feel like she's a villain for that. In some ways, Angel Reese has a lot of Dennis Rodman energy around her. And I don't feel like it's totally warranted, but maybe some of it is. And then also, it's like, you see comment sections when Angel's involved. Like they showed a picture of Angel and Julian from the game the other day at courtside and Drake seats. And the comment section on Facebook was just gross. It's just like, who the hell are these people saying very derogatory, like, oh, she's this and this. I feel like it may be bots just traveling around attacking Angel Reese. But there is like a really weird kind of like anti-Angel Reese movement among pro Caitlin Clark people that is absolutely kind of racial. And it's messed up, man. I would say this, the way people react to Angel Reese makes her very powerful. In some ways, that's like, wow, you got them all spun out like that. You're a badass in some ways. I gotta respect that. I mean, that's the way I look at it. I mean, wasn't invested emotionally in Clark versus Reese in college and that whole epic storyline that happened. I wasn't invested in it. It's not like oh, I got to root for Caitlyn just because I'm white and she's white. No, people that are like that are messed up. Let's just put it that way. In some ways, I liked in some ways that Angel won that matchup with LSU because there was so much bullshit about glazing Caitlin Clark that I was kind of like, this is overdone. She's not end all be all everything. She's great and she's a great player. And she'd tell you this herself. She's humble, but also at the same time, she's a competitor and she wants to win. And Caitlin Clark does not participate with all this racial hate that other people have. She has a whole different idea, but some of her followers are really messed up. So it's a weird situation. How would that interact with Canada and our country and our ecosystem up here? Maybe she wouldn't be that marketable. Maybe there would be like a lot of white people up here would be like, yeah, fuck her. Don't bring her up here. We don't want her on our team. I don't know. That's a tough thing to say. I would say this. I wouldn't worry about any of that. I'd do whatever was available and what we could do. Teresa Resch and Monica Wright Rogers. And you know what? It'd be like Vince Carter getting his jersey retired. Enjoy. Angel Reese is at Toronto Tempo. Enjoy. Fans, enjoy. Even if you don't like it, just enjoy it. All right. That's what I would say. I would say it would be like that. I don't know if she'd get all the endorsements, but maybe she would. Maybe she would. We'd have to see. The other thing is we could think about this with Angel Reese is maybe this year was a learning experience for her and she made some mistakes and she's matured from some of the things that have happened. And maybe these won't be issues anymore going forward because she realizes when you're on a pro sports team, it's not smart to throw your whole team under the bus. There could be growth, especially with a younger individual like her, that she get older, she gets wiser, and maybe doesn't make some of the same mistakes she's made in the past. And maybe she's not really a bad teammate and really a problem on a team. It's just that there's a lot of reputation hanging around her right now that's not totally fair. I would say that's probably true. That's probably true right there. Trevor's saying this, Sky will never give up Angel. She's one of their best players, double machine every night. That's the thing. Besides like the problems personality wise and maybe those issues, she's a commodity. She's a very valuable player on the roster that they're going to want value for if she's going somewhere. I would think that's part of the reason why they would protect her as one of their five is because it's not necessarily that they like her or want her on the team. It's just because she's valuable. She's valuable right there. Wayne's here. Good morning to Wayne. Morning, Raptor Freaks. I have watched enough Denver games to notice heavy referee bias in favor of Luka. In favor of Luka? What do you mean? Last close game they had against Minnesota, they ejected Stewart in overtime after making a shot. You mean Nikola? Right? You're not talking about Luka Doncic, right, Wayne? Luka's on the Lakers. Why are you talking about the Nuggets then? Okay. I think I understand what you're saying. You mean Nikola, and you're saying that the last game they had against Minnesota, they ejected Beef Stew in overtime. Wait, Beef Stew? They ejected Stewart? Who? You're confusing the hell out of me, man. Stewart? Who's Stewart? On Minnesota? Nah, man, you're all over the place in some ways, Wayne. I'm not sure who you're talking about. You got Luka on the Nuggets, and you got a Stewart on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Who are you talking about? This is off the rails, bro. I'm sorry. Order in the court. Wayne Strainer, tidy up. Cool Cat saying this. Good morning, Raptor Free Crew. New Year, new memory to add. There you go. New year, new to add. There you go. They do travel. Laugh out loud. They do travel. Who's traveling? Stargate saying, Wayne, Luka plays for the Lakers. You probably meant to say Jokic, or you meant to say you watched enough Lakers games, not Denver. Yeah, I'm not totally sure what he means there. I'm not totally sure. You can clear it up if you want, Wayne. Tell us exactly what you mean, just for clarity's sake. Stargate saying also, Kelsey Plum has said some underhanded things about Canada, so hard pass on Kelsey, big girl. I don't think she was suggesting Kelsey for our team. That's not what she was saying. She was just saying Kelsey wanted to leave Vegas to go to the LA Sparks to be having her own team. Yeah, I'm not interested in Kelsey Plum up here. The only reason why she said all that stuff about us is because we interviewed Becky Hammond for the Toronto Raptors job. That's the only reason why she said that, is because she was protective of her coach and the Aces, and she was scared that the Toronto Raptors were going to hire her instead of Darko to be the coach of the Raptors. And that's when she lashed out and said, I hate Canada and all this kind of stuff, because she was scared of losing her coach and getting hired by us. And there was also, different things about saying, it's like, why did they even interview her? It's like just window dressing. It's like, you're not serious about hiring her, don't interview her. Some people were backlashing about that. I mean, we were serious about hiring her. There was a serious consideration of hiring her. That wasn't facetious. That was a real interview, and that she might have gotten that job. Seriously. In some ways, she's better off with the Aces now, still, though. In some ways, the first woman to coach in the NBA is going to be a big deal. And in some ways, we want them to be in a successful situation that'll help them, look good, and not, and, coming to coach the Raptors in our state right now may not have been the best career move for Becky Hammond, considering everything. Don Staley getting hired to be the Knicks coach this year would have been very interesting if they hadn't hired Mike Brown. And they almost did. They thought about hiring Don Staley to run the Knicks this year, which is very interesting. Very, very interesting. All right, let's see. Stargate saying a little slow, but has good footwork. Talking about Audie. Yeah, Audie's interesting. She's a big, big player. It'd be interesting to see, is that the power game? Is she like going to be the Shaq of the WNBA soon, where nobody can stop her because she's just that strong? Maybe it might be like that. Superfan Mo's in the house. Good morning to you, Monique Lawrence. How are you? Good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Go Tempo, 905, and Raptors. That's right. Team Canada basketball. Let's go CBL. That's right. Stargate saying tractor trailer type player. That's a very good comparison for Audie Crooks. Robert Trailer, tractor trailer. Very, very similar playing body. Yeah. Yeah, very similar. Yeah. Nameless is saying, I want Kia in Toronto. She's freaking hot. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I want her because she's a good player and she's Canadian. And we want Canadian players on our tempo, just like our Raptors. That's right. Kia Nurse is going to be the first Canadian Toronto tempo player. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I'm all about that. That's right. Most saying Happy New Year's, guys. I'm still thinking BI shot. You're still thinking about BI shot? Okay. Kimberly texted me after the game. As far as I'm concerned, we the Raptors won this game and the Jays won the World Series. Monique's living in an alternate universe where the Blue Jays won the World Series against the Dodgers. I love that. I love that. I mean, there were a couple places where the Blue Jays probably should have gotten it won, but it got screwed up. Yeah. It's too bad. But what a dream season. And in some ways, let's not get it twisted. MLB has storylines they want to write to. And they probably did things a certain way to try and not have the Blue Jays win and get a dynasty for the Dodgers. But either way, I won't speculate on that too deeply. I'll just say that, storylines, teams in sports have storylines and leagues have storylines. That's all I'll say. Now, about that shot with Brandon, I mean, Mo, you saw it in person. My whole stance is give the fans what they want. If that shot's close enough and it's just like a split hair late, who cares? It's right on time in some ways. And in some ways, it's such an amazing, impressive shot. You should be giving credit for that and saying, and what's the big deal? Let the best team win in overtime. Give them 5 more minutes. Why cheat people? We pay so much for tickets to go to the games. Why cheat people of the extra competition when it seems like that's what should happen? That's my stance on it right there. That's it right there. Fierce is saying issue stemmed from Caitlin waving the ring finger, no reaction. When Angel did it, whoa. Also, Iowa were invited to the White House despite losing the title. All this fueled the hate. Yeah, well, that's partly, idiot, that political side being stupid in dumb ways. It's like, oh, wait, did they get invited by Biden? I don't know. Either way, I don't care about American politics. It's all bullshit anyway. All right, let's see. Yeah, the ring finger thing. It was okay for Caitlyn to talk trash, but when Angel talked trash, everybody's like, no, she's not allowed to do that. Yeah, this is a little weird stuff there. A little weird. Shaq Lindsay's saying this. Not to nitpick, but one thing I noticed watching the last game was they were attacking IQ on switches. I also don't understand why we didn't answer to them attacking the paint with a Mo Bamba. I mean, the one, and we talked about this kinda yesterday, like, if they put Mo Bamba in on Jonas at the beginning of the game, which they weren't gonna do because they don't wanna start Mo Bamba, would he really have been able to do any better on Jonas than Scotty? Like, ask yourself that question. Do you think that anybody on our team's roster, other than Jakob, and he's hurt, he couldn't be available, would have been able to guard Jonas Valanciunas correctly? Now, Mo Bamba's long and he's certain things, but he may not, there's all kinds of sneaky ways Jonas can use his size and beat whoever he's playing against because he's a vet and he's very polished. And the way he was working against Scott, Scott's really one of the best defenders in the league. And in some ways, Jonas able to use his shoulders and his bulk to make room for his shots, and he's just going in there and getting rebounds and stuff. I don't know if Mo Bamba would have been the antidote for slowing down Valanciunas, because in some ways, that's the only thing that like he would have helped us with. You can say, oh, he may have been a rim a deterrent as far as people trying to come in the lane and score baskets, but Scotty's that too. Scotty's that too. I don't know. Either way, not playing Mo Bamba against the Nuggets, I'm not losing sleep about that. And once again, I say the coaches know better. So I'm not really worried about that. Now, the whole stuff about IQ with switches, well, this is something that we got to continue to be aware of and work through and just understand with our personnel how to help in different ways that can help. And that's teamwork. That's teamwork stuff. IQ, if you're trying to say that IQ is a weak link or something like that, well, there's some truth to that to a degree, but also at the same time, he's very active and he's trying, and he has increased his defensive ability this year, just like RJ. So in some ways, it's like, look, we can't get down on him for not trying because he is actually working. But if there are using it against us on a switch, on a mismatch, well, we need to figure out the right system of protocol to react to it, to cover it up and make it so that it's not an advantage. So, I mean, that's the way it's got to be right there. I mean, you could say the same thing. They actually abused Shed at the end of the game with a big shot. That's that whole layup that Jamal Murray made in that crucial spot where Shed was undersized and he used his smaller size on him. So it's not like this is exclusive to Emmanuel. This is also something that we go through with Jamal Shed also. So let's see. Fiercely saying, I don't heavily follow these things. I just appreciate the game and talent we see. Yeah, I'm not caught up in that drama. And it seems like it's a lot of people that are non-basketball people that are chiming in that just feel like being dicks and just want to be showing their ass. It's weird. She is such a firestorm of opinion, Angel Reese. She really, really is. In some ways, like I said, she's like Dennis Rodman. She's that kind of a lightning rod of kind of like differences of opinion. And to me, like if there's racist on one side, I'm on the other side. That's what I would say right there. If there's racist on one side, I'm definitely on the other side. Is basically what the way I stand on this. I mean, if people are going to get all bent out of shape and say like this and this about her, and they're so catty about it, man, she's got some power. Man, she's got some power. If she really influences that people to feel that strongly to act all ugly like that, she's a powerful person. And in some ways, that's kind of fun. If she was on Toronto Tempo, to see people that are kind of gross people get all upset because of Angel Reese being herself and living her life. That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, it's crazy. There's even people in the RFF that don't like her in really weird, convoluted ways. And I'm like, why are you so against her? Like, what's wrong with you? Who has trained your brain to be so mad at Angel Reese right now? Just because she's a competitor? Just because she trash talked? Just because she threw her teammates under the bus? Just because of this or this? And you think that she's this? Like, that was one of the arguments this guy that came at Monique in the main Celtics chat the other day. She was a total asshole, and I put him in his place. He was trying to say something like Julian Reese is the most spoiled, immature, classless player I've ever seen come into Maine to play the Maine Celtics in the history of me watching them. I'm a season ticket holder here, and I watch all the Maine Celtics games. This guy was trying to characterize Julian Reese as being a lot of the characterizations for Angel, just kind of transferring them from her to him. And I was like, wait, whoa, a second, bro. You can call him all this, and you just called my friend dumb. Like, you have any credibility. You're saying that he's classless, but you're the classless one that just called the super fan Monique Lawrence a dumb person. Like, wait a second. You're going to call somebody else classless when you're showing no class and attacking somebody that you don't even know and talking trash to somebody you don't even know? Like, seriously, that's like I said to him, the pot calling the kettle black. Like, I'm going to listen to your opinion on Julian Reese when you just threw one of my best friends under the bus with some bullshit comment. You don't even know her. No, 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 no. And I set him straight. And Mo's like, thanks, Lex. And I was like, yeah, it's like that with you and me. Because it's like, if there are people trying to come at the Reese family because they think Angel is an out of pocket person who's driving outside her lane, well, get over yourself, racist. That's what I say right there. That's right. That's right. That's what I say right there. Yeah. Shaq Lindsay saying, I hope we play Mo Bamba, especially if Atlanta is going to play Christina. Christina? You mean Kristaps? Kristaps? Atlanta is now rumored as maybe one of the possible top destinations for Anthony Davis. Yeah. There's a Trey Young, Anthony Davis deal in the works, apparently. Well, they get this done before Saturday. Will we see Anthony Davis in a Hawks uniform in like the next couple of days? Maybe a twin towers of Davis and Kristaps? I'll bet you Kristaps would go with Trey Young to Dallas. And that would be hilarious because Porzingis would be back in a Dallas uniform again. That'd be hilarious. But it's interesting. I mean, look, we're playing the Atlanta Hawks tomorrow and Monday, 2 games in a row in Toronto, not traveling anywhere. So this will be fun. We've already beat up on the Hawks twice. We need to get both these wins for sure. We need to take care of business. That's what I'm saying. Tomorrow I'll have the preview. Atlanta Hawks, game number 1, Toronto Raptors, Scotiabank Arena, Saturday night, baby. Let's go. Nameless is saying, so many confused motherfuckers conscribing to racist theories. Okay. Have no idea about the true nature of reality, not their fault. Institutions have been purposely deceiving them since the beginning of time. No, it's true. There's a lot of coding and programming to make people racist. It's really based from fear. They feel like, all right, first of all, the first lie that society tells us is there's scarcity. That if there's only a certain amount of stuff and you have to fight everybody to get it. That's the rat race. That's the lie they told us. There's enough for everybody. And if we did things equally and smart, everybody be taken care of. But they have to light a fire under our asses to make us want to work for them, to make us be able to be exploited by the people in wage slavery. So one of the ways they use it is like, you can't have this person have more stuff than you, because then you're below them in society. And then they bring the whole race thing in. It's like seeing a black person more successful than me. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. They must have taken something from me because I'm a white person. I should have had that before them. It's a lot of that bullshit. So the first big lie is there's scarcity and there's not enough for everybody. The second big lie is that they're taking what you should have had from you. And that's a lie too. They ain't taking nothing from you. The immigrants didn't take your health care. The immigrants didn't take your jobs. They're doing jobs you didn't want to do anyway. There's all kinds of programming and coding in exactly what Nameless is saying. Exactly. And that's the conditioning of the powers that be on weak, feeble minds that can't think for themselves. And that's where they get to this point. That's what this comes from right there. Right there. All right, let's see. Mo's saying W stream, W vibes, go Raptors for life. Keep at it always, Lex. Raptor Free Crew, strong forever. Just help me limit the comments. I appreciate that. About an hour and 23, maybe another 40 minutes, maybe less. We'll see how it takes to get through everything. Shaq Lindsay saying not to shit on Colin Murray Boyles and Superman's performance, but Kryptonite Chris might slow him down. Kryptonite Chris. Kryptonite Chris. What? Not to shit on Colin Murray Boyles and Superman performance. Superman. I don't understand this comment. Kryptonite Chris might slow him down. Who's Kryptonite Chris? Kristaps? Man, this is full name answers only. I don't even know you're talking about, Shagley. There's like 2 comments that I'm absolutely clueless on. Wayne's earlier and this one. I have no idea what you mean here. Fierce is saying this. I'm not too familiar with Bamba's game, but Jonas is amazing. I must admit, he also has great footwork, very strong paint presence, good passer, and draws fouls. He's a vet, and that's to his advantage. Well, we know Jonas very well because of 10 years of him being on the Raptors almost. He was like on our team for like 7, 8 years. And we saw him grow the early start to get to this point. He's definitely refined himself and made him better and better since he's left the Raptors, going to Memphis and New Orleans and now Denver. He's been very impressive. And I think the most impressive thing about Jonas Valanciunas is that he's still in the league. Let's just say that. And that work, that DeRozan code that's in Jonas Valanciunas, which he knows DeRozan code because he worked with DeRozan for years and years. And in some ways, he's that same kind of working hard, adapting, and getting better every year kind of guy. Has kept him in the league as a big, huge center that the league should have passed him by. And it's not like Jonas is a 3-point shooting center, really. He is. He can hit the three, but he added that later. So he's very interesting. I mean, fiercely, you got to think about the history of him with us and where he was with us like 10 years ago. It's very interesting, Jonas, and where he is at this point. Most saying that we bring in Mo Bamba and don't play him. I'm not complaining much, but still. Well, this is the thing. Everybody is so built up on like, we need another center. We need another center. Yeah, and we got it. But it doesn't mean that person's playing every game. It's like breaking in case emergency. And in some ways, it's like, look, everybody has an idea about who should be playing what and how much and all this. They don't understand. I said this yesterday on the stream. There's an iceberg, and we see the visible part of the iceberg above the water is what we see. And then there's a whole huge part underneath that's practice, behind the scenes, talking to Mo Bamba, hanging out with him, and gauging where he's ready at what point. And we have no idea what that is. So everybody can have an easy opinion and say we should be playing Mo Bamba every game for sure already, but Darko knows best. And we just need Darko to do what he does. It's his job. It's not our job. We're not the coach of the Raptors. And GM, we're not GM either. We're not GM like Bobby Webster. So this is always my case with people that are kind of like second guessing, decisions like, oh, why didn't he play Mo Bamba? Well, you don't know. He's a coach. He knows better than you. He saw maybe Mo Bamba warm up in the morning. You didn't. Maybe he saw Mo Bamba clanking everything. Maybe he saw Mo Bamba a little too slow in practice that morning. And he's like, yeah, Mo doesn't seem like he has it today. He's not exactly on his best today. So we'll bench him tonight. We don't know. These could all be things like this. It could be as simple as like, Mo Bamba's got a little bit of a slight injury. Well, let's just keep him out just for precautionary. We don't exactly need him tonight. There's all kinds of different things, but people don't need to know all that. But they want to think that they know exactly why and why they shouldn't they should do this and they shouldn't do that. They don't know. They don't know. They don't live on the moon. That's what I'm saying. Name is saying the MLB definitely has directives. In fact, they purposely restructured the divisions to ensure the Jays never win again. Fun fact. Well, that American League East stuff is really, yeah, tough. Really, really tough. I don't pay attention enough to baseball enough to really know the ins and outs, the mechanics of all of it. But I can just say that I think in general, all sports are tainted for this, whether it's because of sports betting or just from marketing people that want to shape the leagues as products and they are giving favor to players and teams that are good for advertising, stuff like that. That's part of it there. That's part of it there. Shaq Lindsay saying Val is a vet, but he's no joker. That's funny. Mo's saying this. I finally ordered the new Raptors calendar yesterday. Yeah, I got mine. I've got it all filled out and sitting right here. I'm looking at it right now. I got all the games for the rest of the season marked in the calendar so I can keep track of everything. And I go in there and mark in the W's and the L's as we go through the season. Yeah, I got it all ready and all set. Scotty's the January picture. Scotty Barnes, January 2026. On there. Yes. Daddy Gates is saying this, Stargates. The racist anti-Angel Reese hate clauses black community to overwhelmingly support Angel. Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird thing. In some ways, she's a very divisive person. In some ways, I support her harder because of this, for sure. For sure. Because I mean, it's like you can tell when an energy or hate is not just a basic hate. Like, oh, you just hate her because because of her personality. No, there's something more deeper to this. You can tell that. You can tell that sometimes. Name was saying, you think they want America's pastime in Canada? Give me a break. Talking about baseball? I don't know. We won 2 World Series up here. We got the World Series this year. If Rogers is spending the money and we get a good enough roster, maybe we can compete again next year, and maybe we can get it next year. Who knows? I'm open to everything like that. I'm not going to say that the MLB would slam the door on us getting a World Series title again. It may have seemed like that a little bit last year, But who knows? Maybe we build up, we do a really good job. Vlad Guerrero Jr. and the crew get it this time. Who knows? Anything's possible, is what I would say. It may not be likely. It may not be easy. It may be that the secret's out, and not everybody's going to take the Blue Jays as lightly next year because what we did this year. We'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. Infamous saying, salute freaks. Most of the things said about Caitlyn and Reese are all rooted in narrative, not facts. Most of them are not fans, but used their names to push political agendas. Yeah, yeah, that makes total sense. It became something bigger than the game. Now, in some ways, it helped the popularity of the WNBA because it brought more attention. More, no publicity is bad publicity. It's good publicity because people are talking about it and it's out there, and more people are interested in coming in. Maybe people that would never have watched basketball got more interested because of all this. But some of these people are interested for the wrong reasons. They're interested because they came to hate. They're interested to come to add in their little 2 cents about Clark and Reese, and they're not coming for a basketball reason. They're coming for a political reason. Yeah, yeah, this is true. This is definitely true right here. Slug Deezy saying the Blue Jays had the opportunity to go to the Central Division, but they chose to stay in the East because they're afraid they were going to lose revenue from missing out on Boston and New York. That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, what would you guys have done? I'd say I'm traditionalist. I don't care if we're in there with the Yankees and the Red Sox. We're used to that. We've been there for a while. And it seems like now we're in an age where the Blue Jays are getting to spend more equally with the Yankees and the Red Sox. And maybe we are more attractive all of a sudden to the big free agency targets. And all of a sudden we have a better level playing field to compete with those top teams. Ric Flair used to always say, to be the man, you got to beat the man. So instead of shying away from running away from the American League East, staying in the American League to face the Yankees and the Red Sox, maybe partly for revenue, but also because of tradition, maybe because in some ways you want that hard route, even if the easier route is presented to you, maybe you don't go down that route, even if it's right there for you. I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with deciding that and staying there, even if it is for money reasons and getting the money out of the big series against the Red Sox and the Yankees when they come here. Nah, I think that this is the way it's been. We're used to it, and we need to continue to go through it like this. Because when we get past them, when we're on top of them in the American League East Division, it's all the sweeter to see Toronto above New York and Boston. I would say that. That's right. I would say that. Let's see. Monique saying my Raptors schedule tomorrow, the 5th, the 11th, and 26th for January. You going to 4 games this year, this month so far? Interesting. Interesting. Shaq Lindsay saying Superman is Scotty, and I refer to Chris as Kryptonite. Chris. Who's Chris? Who's Chris? Who is Chris? Chris Murray? I have no idea who you mean. Scotty. Superman is Scotty, and I refer to Chris as Kryptonite. Who is Chris? I don't know who Chris is. I have no idea who Chris is. Nameless saying, sounds like there could be some truth to that slug, but the timing was still awfully peculiar. Thanks, Slug. That's a point I had never considered before. Sorry for the crosstalk, Lex. That's all right. You're good. It's just slight. It's not an ongoing conversation like some people have done in the past. Let's see. Shaq saying CMB is the thing. Never mind me. I have my mind on DC. Okay. You're integrating our players with superhero characters, and I'm not following speed because in some ways I'm not on it. Okay. All right. I think I'm getting it here. Let's see. Name is saying you're a wise motherfucker, Lex. You're like Yoda. Have a great day, everyone. I'm like Yoda. I love it. All right. All right. Let's see. Shaq Lindsay saying, I started the year right with positive thoughts and fantasies thanks to the reefer. There you go. I'll give you, you know what? You're going to get the first dunk of the year for that one. Seriously. Nobody's gotten a dunk yet for this year. Shaq Lindsay's getting a dunk for starting the year positive with a reefer. There you go. That's the kind of like marketing I want to hear. Reefer is not bad for you. You start positive for the year. 3 on the dunk charts. Shaq Lindsay, you're the official first dunk of the year. Amen. I mean, Mr. Quasimodo is feeling that too, man. I will also, after this is done, I'll be going outside for sure. All right, let me see. Let me check on my tabs real quick. Let's do the Instagram stories. Chris Boucher is very happy to see that they're going to do, I don't know if this is AI or what. It is an AI picture. It's kind of douchey. But Ice Cube, Chris Tucker, Mike Epps, Cat Williams, last Friday, 2026, coming out. They're gonna make another Friday movie with all those guys. And yeah, Chris Tucker's all about it. Chris Tucker's all about it. That may not be teasing. That's gonna be for real, I'll bet. And there's Chris. Yeah, there's a nice picture of Chris with his mother. Very, very cool to see an old school picture of baby Chris in the lap of his great mother who worked so hard for him as a child. There you go. Norman Powell is on the sidelines with a fan who has all of his jerseys. They start with UCLA, and he's going the Raptors jerseys. This man had 8 Norman Powell jerseys on, including Raptors, Portland, Miami, Clippers. And Norman's just totally enthralled with this guy. He's like, wow, man, you got all my jerseys. This is amazing. He just like keeps going. He had 8 Norman Powell jerseys on. That's pretty cool. Where in the world is Serge Ibaka? I'm not totally sure, man. He's got some weird guy talking about like privilege and what a privilege it feels to be overwhelmed. What you used to dream about, what a privilege to be challenged by a life you created on purpose. Where are you, Serge Ibaka? Where in the world are you? Jonathan Mobo has a practice scene of him wearing the Toronto Raptors jersey, and he's at the Milo Academy with some guy getting training. Lou Dort was celebrating Haitian Independence Day yesterday. Happy Independence Day to Haiti. And yeah, there he is. He's wearing the colors and the flag, and he's a very proud Haitian ancestry from North Montreal. And yeah, that's really cool that he put that all over on blast on his Instagram yesterday. Independence Day for Haiti. Fantastic stuff. Let's see. He's also got that looks like some good soup or stew or something like that. Oh, it's soup Jumon, which is what Haitians eat on January the 1st. So interesting. He was like explaining why they ate it. Is they started eating that soup because it represented their freedom and emancipation and independence from the French colonists. So very, very cool. So on the first day of the year, Haitians both at home and eat the soup to celebrate the first successful slave rebellion that transferred political power to its freed slave majority. There you go. That's very, very cool. Very, very cool. OG Ananobi is celebrating Indiana's College Rose Bowl championship. The University of Indiana went to the Rose Bowl apparently in the bowl season and won. So OG's happy about football. Coach James Wade took his kids to the bouncy castle, and they're in the activity zone, the trampoline place. You know, they're running around, jumping and bouncing every which way. Let's see. Pascal has got an overview of his year, 2025, with all his different things that happened. His media company always putting out fantastic content, whether it's Sunday bangers or just him and his auteur, his eye for a camera. Siakam's got his year-end review. If you want to go check that out. Sandro Mamu was at the zoo yesterday, guys. I seen him and Mercedes went to the zoo and they were checking out the polar bears. You know, you can go to the zoo right now. I drove by it a couple days ago and I was like, man, I wonder what it's like at the zoo right now in the middle of the winter with all the snow on the ground. It's probably pretty cool. Well, Sandro wanted to go find out. On New Year's Day, him and his fiance went to the zoo and they got a picture of him standing with a polar bear. And that polar bear is way taller than him. He's almost 7 feet tall. And the polar bear is probably another 1.5 feet taller than him. It's crazy, man. So Sandro was at the zoo with his fiance looking at the polar bears. Pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah, there's a picture on Mercedes Instagram. The polar bear with its mouth open. Rawr, crazy, crazy, crazy cool. Such a cute animal. Such a beautiful animal, a polar bear. That's right. Kelly Olynyk is putting Julian Champagny on blast on his Instagram. And there he is with his wife, the mama of their baby, celebrating the New Year's with the noisemakers and the champagne. Yeah, what a happy couple. Kelly and Jen. Yeah, just having a great year this past year with their baby coming. Let's see. Coach Andrew Jones has got the game day ready for San Diego Clippers tonight. And also he took his kids to the bouncy place too. They were there too. There's Ava and Heidi and with Coach James Wade's child there too at the bouncy castle. Raptors saying Happy New Year's to everybody on their account. Let's see what else we got in the chat. Fred VanVleet's mood all 2026 is yeah. Check out the new episode of Unguarded. It's out, the 4th episode. It's really just Fred kicking it with his buddy, doing a recap show of recent events with what's going on with them. Oshai Baji's got some amazing year-end pictures of him and Avery and their young family and the great year that 2025 was for them and the new beginnings that they had. Really, really cool to see the collage of pictures of him as a dad with his new baby, Valley. Yeah, that's awesome. And today's his queen's special day. So I wonder if it's Avery's birthday today. Happy birthday to the love of my life, the best mother and wife. Look at that. That's so cute. That you just posted that an hour ago. The Abajis are so happy. What a happy young couple and happy young family. Teresa Resch is posting new year, new court. Let's see it. I dare you, Teresa. Come out with a new court. I want to see the court design for the Toronto Tempo season. There you go. There's your Instagram stories. Checking in on the world of Instagram. Sandro is at the zoo. Sandro is at the zoo. At the zoo. Okay, so Shaq Lindsay's clarified. Chris is Kristaps Porzingis. I'm never going to think that, bro. Full name answers. Chris, to me, is Chris Murray because he's the only guy in the league that goes by Kris. That is Chris Murray of the Murray twins. He is the only Chris I know with that spelling. And I'm not going to go all the way to Zaps. You got to put the whole name in, man. It's just like with a classic card. I ain't gonna understand it. Jonas is gonna miss 4 weeks because of the injury that happened to him in the Raptors game. Woo-wee, Nuggets. Keep trying to win now. He's out just as long as Jokic. This is kind of interesting because it's like, didn't they get Valanciunas to be insurance for Nikola? And now he's going to be out the same exact time that Nikola's out. Oh, man, the world works in weird ways, man. Slug Deezy saying, don't forget to vote for our Raptors and Canadians in the All-Star. That's right. That's right. And Kareem saying, can Mo Bamba play for the 905? How does this work? We don't need him to play for the 905. We don't need him to play for the 905. I don't think that they're going to waste the time of Mo Bamba being on this team, especially since he might only be on this team for another 8 days, going down to 905 and mess around with Andrew Jones. No, he needs to get as much time in with the Raptors in their practices and being around the big team because he's on a short leash as far as like you got to show something that makes us want to keep you past the 10th of January. So wasting his time going to play for 905 today wouldn't work. I mean, he could maybe. I could be completely wrong. And they say, yeah, we've assigned Mo Bamba to 905 today to help Andrew Jones and to get him some more time learning the system. I mean, in theory, that makes sense. Seeing as 905 does the same thing as the Raptors, it could help him. And he has played in G League this year already. So it's not like it's a big deal if he goes plays for the 905. I just think that because it's a short term window for him to ingratiate himself with the Raptors, they're going to want to keep him with the big club. So who knows? Maybe he's on there. Maybe I'll find out. Maybe I should go look. Let's look at the breaking news on Blue Skies. Is there any breaking news about things? Well, there is. Jonathan Moba will be with the Raptors 905 tonight, the two ways as well, though Chucky Hepburn is to be determined whether he'll play due to his knee. That's 6 minutes ago, posted by Blake Murphy on the Blue Skies. So that's breaking news right there. Mobo is available for 905 against the Clippers, and AJ Lawson and Elijah Martin are also. Chucky Hepburn to be determined because of his knee injury. So there's your breaking news on that. They didn't say nothing about Mo Bamba, though. So I don't think he will be there. Superfan Mo saying, I'm voting every day and pushing the message. That's right. That's the way to do it, man. That's the way to do it. Mr. Quasimodo saying, by the way, thank you for working so hard, sir. Your insight is so valuable. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Seriously, I know some people will be like, man, this guy don't know what he's talking about. He's crazy. Some people hear what I'm saying and they're like, wow, actually, you know what? He made a good point there. And that's kind of funny what he said there. I mean, I'm not going to be the right flavor of ice cream for everybody. And I appreciate the people that do enjoy my show and my brand of what I do every morning. I appreciate that you recognize my grind. Seriously, Mr. Quasimodo, I appreciate that because it is a grind. As I've made a dedication to be here every single day for the last 4 years of my life. And I'm continuing to do that going forward. Some people say, how do you do that, Lex? Don't you burn out? Well, you keep it fun. You keep it creative. You guys are a big help in making it fresh. And then also, you know, having more stuff to cover, like the tempo, is helpful too. You know, the tempo coming about is going to help my summer so much. Now, you guys are wondering, are we ever going to play Raptor Freak Tuesday Trivia ever again? Yes, we are. Here's a warning, guys. Next month, actually, maybe later this month and a bit too, Tuesdays are going to be opened up for us to play Tuesday Trivia the regular way that we do normally. So there'll be like a month of Tuesdays where we're going to be playing trivia, where I'll write the questions and I'll do like we usually do. So be ready for this. We get our points from the classic card, but you can get a lot of points from Trivia Tuesdays. So, Fiercey, everybody else that loves to play the Tuesday trivia, be ready. We're going to have Tuesday trivia, at least 4 weeks of it coming up in the next 2 months before the end of February. And some of it will be around the All-Star weekend. We will have some trivia around that time. So you guys are going to be very happy about that. I was kind of looking forward and trying to figure it out. I was like, wait, I'm going to have to do trivia on that Tuesday. Yeah. And I'll be excited to write some more questions again. It's been a little while since I've done that, man. Magnet Knowledge is here. Chris Middleton is also Chris. That's right. That could have been that Chris too. Yeah, I should have thought about Chris Middleton instead of Chris Murray. It depends on if with the H or not. The H is in there, then that's Chris Middleton from the Bucks before. If the H is in there, it's Chris Murray of Sacramento. But if it's a taps on the end of it, it's Chris Taps. That's right. That's right. Magnetic saying, we love you for it. I'm up early every morning on a diehard, and watch most every day now. Awesome, man. I appreciate that. Thanks for the subscription, Magnetic. And I hope you just have a fantastic start to 2026. Blessings to you and yours going into the new year. That's all I want, man. I'm not a hater like that. Sure, I may hate on some people, enemies of the Raptors, but for the most part, in general, for everybody in this world, I want blessings and love and prosperity and abundance for everyone. I'm not one of these greedy motherfuckers. It's like I want to keep everything for myself and everybody else can suffer. No, 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 no. We need to be more humanistic in our ideals and our mentalities more and more going forward, because in some ways our communities are going to have to come together and protect each other. And we will. I have strong faith in humanity and the way we're wired as people, that we're going to get this assignment right and we're going to fight the power right. Just like Chuck D and Flavor Flav told us back in the day, fight the power. Yeah, we're going to have to, guys. And we'll be ready when that call comes. We'll be ready. Oh, yeah, we will. That's right. Fiercey saying Tuesday trivia. Yay. She's very excited about that. Yeah, I'm excited too. It's been a while since I've had to write those questions, and it'll be nice to come back to that again. Yeah. It helps you get going in the mornings. Awesome, man. Well, I want to, not only the research and the understanding of the NBA and the Raptors and things that are going on with, the tempo, like I'm talking about today. It's also like, I hope that you guys find that my other stuff, whether it's me kind of like going on about life experiences, like that vacuum department story before, or just like, things that I've learned from my own challenges and trials and tribulations in my life. It's kind of, in some ways, I want to be able to help people be happier in their lives. And if some ways, if I can learn some of the techniques I've used to be happier in my life and I can pass them on to people on this channel, I will. I will. Because I don't feel like, in some ways people will charge you a ton of money to be like your life coach and say, oh, this is what you should do. This is what this is. I'm like, dude, why don't we just tell people how to live better? In some ways, why do you have to get money and even involved in it? You see somebody struggling, why don't you just help them out? Why don't you just tell them maybe something that could help them change their lives and they could be happier for it? I don't know, man. I appreciate that I'm a part of your routine and that I get you going right. That's awesome. That's awesome. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, Magnetic saying off to work now, gents. Happy New Year's. Go 905 tonight. We got robbed on that BI buzzer beater for sure. For sure. Yeah, we want to see the excellence continue. Coach Andrew Jones with your team tonight against the San Diego Clippers in Paramount Fine Food Center. 5 p.m. start, guys. Be ready for that. And like I said, I'll be in the YouTube chat on YouTube Canada for Canadians that are watching it that way. I know Trevor's going to be watching on NBA TV down in the States. But yeah, we'll be there for the Clippers tonight, 5 p.m. Be ready for that. All right, let me see. What else is on my tabs? There's no birthday today, unfortunately. We'll do the classic card real quick. So we'll go ahead and get in. Oh, wait, let me do straight goods on Canadian goods. Guys, one of the things you can do to help Canada's economy is buy Canadian produce. A lot of stuff is grown here in Canada that's grown in the States. And we could find the stuff at the grocery store aisle that actually has the Canadian flag on it. These are organic Granny Smith apples grown in Ontario here in this province. And they ain't got nothing to do with the U.S. and trying to bring them over here in tariffs or anything. So it's really helpful when you're in the produce aisle, whether it's vegetables or fruit, to look for what it says on there. Where was this grown? A lot of stuff will say Mexico. Some stuff will say South America. A lot of stuff will say U.S. So it's up to you to make the choices in the grocery line on your produce. because there's a lot of apples there. They're American apples, but I don't buy them. I'll go and find a bag like this that has Canada all over it. And these are organic to boot, which is awesome because they don't use any spray around these that's bad for the environment. So, be vigilant. And when you're in the grocery store, check the labels and see where's the origin of this fruit or this vegetables. And you can help the local farmers of Canada by buying their stuff. And I'm telling you right now, even if the American products are a little bit more cheaper, if you can do this, this can have a huge impact. I don't mind spending a little bit more to support my own country and its own economy in these situations. So yeah, there you go. These are green Granny A. Smith apples from Canada fancy apples. And you just got to check the labels and check where the origin is from. And a lot of the grocery stores are putting it right on the thing. Cucumbers from Canada, Ontario grown, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Right there. That's right. All right, let's see. All right, we'll do the classic card. I wanted to get that out of the way there. All right, let's see who we get today. Man, this card box is getting skimpy. I'm going to have to go fill it up again from the outside. Oh, cool. This is a fun one. This is very classic. We'll have to see if you guys can realize who this guy is. The card is not the easiest to look at. So here you go. Here's the classic card of the day. If you can tell who that is, that's awesome. You can kind of see the first letter of his name on the back of the jersey. And wow, I think that's Mark Eaton of the Utah Jazz looking up at him, just so you know. Yeah, Slug Deezy knows who that is. He can tell from the dunk right there. Robert Pack. Yeah, fiercely, way too recent with Jimmy Butler. Maybe a little bit of Jimmy Butler like player in him, but that is Robert Pack. Robert John Pack Jr. of New Orleans, USC. Yeah, wow, he was not drafted. This man was known for jumping. Wow, he could jump. But look at that. Slug Deezy's a real one. He's like 1 for 1, just right on it. He knew who that was immediately. Robert Pack. Wow. I'm going to give you 200 points for that one on Robert Pack. Yeah, he's awesome, man. Robert Pack is really was a really good dunker, in the history. That's 2 in a row for Slug Deezy to start the new year. This man's got both the classic cards so far in 2026. Look at that. All right, let's wrap it up, guys. Thanks for watching the Raptor Freak stream this morning. It was Tempo Freak. And like I said, I'm freaking out because I realize it's 2026, and this is the year the Tempo will commence playing in the WNBA. And I can't wait. I want to see the court. I want to know who our players are. I want to know who the mascot is and how goofy and crazy it's going to act. I want to see what the crowds are going to be like at Coca-Cola Coliseum and how this team is going to look in different venues across the country in Montreal, Vancouver, and at Scotiabank Arena. They will be playing in the Raptors Arena a couple games too this season. So yeah, Toronto Tempo, I can't wait. I want this labor dispute to be over so we can get our expansion draft done and we can know who's going to be wearing our jersey. I can't wait. I'm freaking out. I'm like, let's get to it, Teresa Resch. I can't wait. I'm going to be so excited to do previews and reactions for your games this year. I'm going to be so excited. We're going to do the same treatment we do for the Toronto Raptors with the Toronto Tempo this summer. So you guys want to get into it and be on top of all the news like we do with the Raptors here. We're going to do the same thing for the Tempo. I may not be the most knowledgeable WNBA guy, but we'll learn as we go. And I'm sure it'll be a fun ride and gaining more knowledge about that league. I mean, I know a lot about it already. It's just that I'm not the most foremost expert on WNBA. I'm not going to act like I am. There's going to be other podcasts that know it way better than me. In fact, I'll say a great WNBA podcast to follow is with Catherine Naker and Freddie Rivas. They have a brand new one, a Tempo podcast. It's going to be fantastic. I would say give them a follow. Listen to whatever they're saying because they are top-notch people that know basketball and they're amazing people. And I forget, I think it's called The Pickup or something like that. I'm not sure what their podcast is called right now. They changed it. They were The Pickup, and now I think they're doing something with the Tempo name as their new one. But anywhere you can find Freddie and Catherine, definitely follow them for WNBA news because they're going to be top notch for sure. And they probably know way more about the WNBA than I do. But I'm in progress, and I'll learn as we go. And trust me, I'll learn fast. I'm a very fast learner. All right, guys, have a great second day of 2026. Bless you guys. Bless everybody. Let's go Raptors. Let's go Tempo. Let's go CBL. Let's go Team Canada. Let's go 905, 5 p.m., San Diego Clippers. We got JD Rawls as our crew chief with Matt Rafferty and Murray Malo as the referees today in that game against San Diego. All right, y'all have a great afternoon. Maybe I'll see some of y'all in the YouTube chat for the 9:05 game. Otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow. A preview for the Atlanta Hawks game #1 on Saturday night at Scotiabank Arena. Let's go Raptors. And I thank you guys for all your kind words and the support for this channel and what I do here. I really do appreciate it, man. You guys keep me going, and I appreciate it a lot. All right, let's go, Tempo. I can't wait. I want to know who the first Tempo is.